everybody, and welcome to Taking Control, the ADHD podcast on rashpixel.fm. I'm Pete Wright, and I'm here, as always, with Nikki Kinzer. Hello, Nikki.
Hello, Pete Wright. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us.
And thank you for joining me. We are talking more about anxiety, ADHD, and the holidays this week. It is a great follow-up to our conversation. I feel like a conversation we just started last week on how to like the holidays again, all about setting boundaries. It was a great conversation. I'm very excited to follow up on this one. Before we do that, head over to TakeControlADHD.com. You can get to know us a little bit better. You can sign up for the mailing list right there on the website and make sure you get an email every time a new episode comes out each week. You can connect with us on Twitter and Facebook at Take Control ADHD, or call us. Leave us a voicemail at 503-664-4ADD to get your voice and thoughts on this show. All right. Anxiety, ADHD, I feel like I need to take a deep breath.
I know, right?
There's a race.
It's interesting about this show because so for the last couple of weeks, obviously I've been focusing on, how to make these holidays less stressful for people. And then I have a conversation with my friend and we're looking at the calendar to try to figure out when we're going to get together next. And there was just like this panic that set in because I realized that Thanksgiving is, 3 weeks away. Christmas is basically tomorrow. Even though Christmas is after Thanksgiving, it still feels more pressing to me for whatever reason. And, but I still felt that panic, even after doing all of this preparation and writing about, how to stay calm. I still felt like, I'm behind.
Yeah, it is a terrible feeling, and it sneaks up on you. Like, I love the way you describe it. Like, you don't feel it until suddenly you do, and then you feel all of it at once.
And you look at the calendar, and that's when I felt it. It was like just physically looking at the calendar and the days. It was like,
there are not enough of them. Well, and it's made even worse if you're like traveling for the holidays or expecting people to join you. It can be a real mess.
It can. So let me ask you before I tell you what my biggest kind of stress factor is. What's yours? What brings you the most anxiety when you think of the holidays?
Well, number one is money.
Yeah, me too.
Money always gives me anxiety. Money gives me anxiety. Like, hey, it's Monday. Well, money's probably on my mind,
right?
But particularly in the holidays. The second is like relationships and expectations, right? Mm-hmm. It's not only what I fear others are expecting of me. It's what I expect of myself in relationship to others. Can I live up to my own expectations of not just gift giving, but just being a responsible friend or family member? That creates a lot of stress and anxiety for me, doesn't feel good, and it should. It should feel good. So I end up going through great pains to kind of make myself feel good and protected. And as we talked about last week, setting the boundaries that allow me to try to live up to my own expectations around relationships.
Right. Well, I agree with you. Definitely money is one of my biggest anxiety triggers. But like you said with the relationship, specifically for me, I think is being a parent, hoping that, I can make this a great Christmas for my children. And I don't mean that by just gifts, but just that I want them to have happy memories. I want them to have traditions that they, can look back on and feel loved. And
that you're role modeling, you're a role model for the right sorts of behaviors.
Right. Yes, exactly. So yeah, I definitely feel that pressure with my kids. And the other pressure that I've been noticing lately is just trying to make sure that I'm present. Like I just want to get to a point where I can really be present with them because they're growing up so fast. And I know that, I already have a teenager and he's already kind of had that separation with me in the sense that, mom doesn't know anything. Like I know nothing.
Well, right. You big dummy.
You just don't get it. Where my daughter is still young enough where, mom is still cool and dad is still cool. And come hang out with me. You're cool.
Live it up.
Yeah. So there's a part of me, this pressure in me that, gosh, I just really want to enjoy this holiday season with both of them. But I just know that she's on the cuff of going that way too, which is all normal. And I know it's part of life and, it's a whole nother probably conversation of letting your children grow up. But that's that pressure of, just, gosh, be in the moment. Don't let my stress and anxiety, get the best of me.
Yeah. Absolutely.
All right. So obviously there are a lot of different scenarios or different topics that we can talk about around anxiety and the holiday season, right? But today I'd like to focus on the money, because that sounds like it's both an issue for you and I, Pete.
Big one.
Yes. And also hosting a party, or hosting like Thanksgiving dinner, or if you're hosting a Christmas dinner. I have a few suggestions on how to make that as easy as possible. And then in the blog this week and in the month, you're going to see some different subjects too, about traveling and how to prepare for a company if they're coming over and that kind of stuff. So there's so much information.
It's all dedicated to reducing that stress and anxiety in practical ways during the holiday season.
Exactly. Yeah. So let's start with the big one for us, money.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I did this season, which I've never done in the past, which I'm sure there's probably listeners thinking that that's kind of silly, but after we did the whole money management series in September, I've just been so focused on my budget. And so starting in October, I actually started saving money for the holidays. So I did what you had suggested, Pete. I have like a separate savings account right now that is just for the holidays. And so I've set my budget. Have you set yours?
Yes. Good. In fact, we have, and have our same little savings account, and are trickling money into it as we speak. We have not yet started spending from it.
No, I haven't either.
Yes, which is good. Although I know that time is coming very, very soon. So
yes. So my first, I think, tip on this is really just setting the budget, is figuring out, how much money you do have to spend. How many gifts do you need to give? Like, who's on your gift list, and actually writing it down, I think, is really helpful to kind of figure out, okay, who in your immediate family, outside family, how much money is delegated to each person. I mean, really kind of think it through, because I don't know about you, but in the past, if I don't do this, then I overspend. I mean, it's
really
awful. Yeah.
Yeah. I've been known for that to happen around my house too.
Well, and I think that's probably part of the issue in the past years, where I've felt so guilty, is that I have something in mind, but then I'm not documenting it. I'm not paying attention to it. And, then it just gets thrown out the window. So that would be my suggestion here, is to write it out, set your budget, make a list of people, figure out how much money you want to spend on each person, and then track as you buy. So when you are at a place where you're purchasing items, that once you've purchased something, you can actually track like how much it costs, because hopefully you've got you've made some good deals. And
it's a funny thing too, because like this year, the improvement that we made this year was not around budgeting. It was around writing the names of people down and keeping the gift list in a way that we could all access it, particularly between my wife and I in particular. And that's been a big change for us, because, we may have this sense of how much money we have to spend, and setting a budget is a great stress reliever until it comes time to spend the money on people that you don't know you have to spend on.
Right, exactly.
There's some sort of responsibility to spend money on people because you haven't planned that part. So really, I think if you really want to address the stress issue, the earlier you can sit down and hit both sides of that process, knowing how much you have to spend and knowing what you're going to spend it on in the same sort of easily connectable place, that goes a long way toward freeing yourself from, I think, that sense of anxiety.
Absolutely.
When it comes time to actually, pay for something.
There's no surprises at that point. So that's great. Now I know with gift giving, one of the things that stresses people out are the crowds. Like, and it does me, man. I used to love the crowds. I used to love Christmas shopping, but now I don't. It just, I don't like all the people, and it's just, it stresses me out. The traffic stresses me out.
There's no Christmas spirit in that anymore. Like I think maybe it's where I live. When I grew up in a place that had a quaint walking downtown. It was so easy to go Christmas shopping because there were people serving cider on the corner, and it was just, you walked from store to store. Like, so now it's like you sit in traffic for an hour. It's an ungodly mess just getting on and off the highway. There's no, so much of it I think is my frustration is accessibility.
Well, and parking, trying to find a parking spot, and then getting honked at because you took somebody's parking spot, which you didn't even know you took. It can be stressful. So my suggestion on avoiding the crowds, which isn't going to be any surprise to anybody, is either shopping online, which we did a podcast show, which I put in the show notes on how to stay focused when shopping online, because that had some good tips on there. But Absolutely. That would be definitely something to do. And the other thing I think is just shopping early in the morning, because most people don't do that. And so if you think about it, the stores are open, really early in the morning and late at night. So if you're getting ready for work, if you want to take maybe an hour, get up an hour earlier, go to the mall an hour before you have to go to work, you're probably going to have less crowds, So something to think about is to shop during those non-peak times. The evening though, I don't know. I've been to the mall before in the evening and it's pretty packed. It seems like the early morning is the best bet. But,
I think so. I just read an article the other day. It says online holiday sales to hit a record 83 billion, mobile to drive the majority of visits to shopping online for the first time this year.
Wow.
So I think that's what we're seeing is, it may be we start to see a shift, a sad shift if you're a local brick and mortar vendor, and the crowds may sate a little bit as more and more people are shopping online or shopping while they're sitting in traffic. Unfortunately, I'm sure some will do that, but this shopping online is a easy way to keep your budget in hand and make sure everything, by and large gets where it needs to be on time.
Exactly. Yeah. So that would be our first recommendation, right?
Yeah.
Now in the blog, I think it's going to come up this week or next week, but definitely look at this or look for it. It's creative gift ideas that aren't going to break your bank. And so I've got some different ideas there that you can look at that aren't necessarily things that you have to buy. So some good things there. So be on the lookout for that.
And when are we gonna share? Are we gonna be enabled to share our most creative gift ideas sometime before the holidays, or are we not going to be able to do that because people may be listening that we're being creative for? You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I see what you're saying. You lost me for a second. Well, because next week you're going to be talking about some different gift ideas.
I am.
Like tech stuff. Right?
I am. I'm kind of excited about that.
Can people listen to that know us?
I won't tie that to any particular names.
person. Okay. Yeah.
All
right. So hosting the party, that can be stressful if you're hosting dinner. Right? Either for Thanksgiving or Christmas. So doing some planning ahead of time is going to be your best stress releaser. So don't wait until the last minute. And I know all the ADDers are out there like, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, right.
Thanks for sharing that tip. But it really is one of those things that if you want to have less stress, that is one of the things that you got to do is you got to do a little bit of planning. I hate to say it. Use the holiday checklist that we have on our website in the downloads. That actually starts 2 weeks before Christmas. It's not going to help you for Thanksgiving, but it will definitely help you for Christmas. Use mind mapping, right? We've talked about mind mapping. I mean, that is a great tool for this kind of situation. You've got Thanksgiving ahead of you and, that's your brain, right, on your piece of paper. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden you can just start writing and thinking about everything that you need to do to get ready for this dinner. And that is just a really great visual to get everything out of your head onto paper. We've talked about all the benefits to that. So this would be a perfect place to use that. I would suggest potluck style if you're really stressed about hosting and you don't want everything, you don't want to be cooking and preparing everything, then just ask for help. Ask everybody that is coming to the dinner to bring something. This is huge. I mean, I think that some people feel like it has to all be on them if they're hosting, but if you just ask for help, people are usually so receptive to that. They want to help. They don't want to just be sitting there.
Yeah, true.
And it just makes it so much easier. You are going to have to organize the menu a little bit. So, I mean, you are going to have to think about, who you want to bring what and that kind of thing. So you don't end up having like 10 pies because that wouldn't be good.
I'm not sure actually you understand what the word problem means.
Right. Well, yeah, for you might want 10 pies.
10 pies would be great.
Yeah, and no side dish, and turkey and pie.
Who needs a turkey?
That's right. With that being said, delegating, I mean, just like we're delegating the potluck, the dinner menu, delegate other things too that you have to prepare yourself for family coming over. And what I mean by that is have your family help you set up, have your family help clean up, delegate specific tasks. Try to say that 10 times. To people, because a lot of times they just don't know what to do and what you need them to do. So I just tell them what to do and you're good.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's what I find, especially with my husband. I just have to tell him. I just have to tell him because he's not going to,
Yeah, he won't ask.
He's not going to ask, and he's not going to know necessarily that that's what needs to be done. So I have to, take the leadership role in that and just let him know what I need. But that's going to be a big thing. The other thing, I know not everybody can afford to do this, but it's something to think about if you can. Maybe it's an early Christmas gift, but if you need to have some cleaning done around your house, ask if there's a way to hire somebody to come in and do that for you. That would be one thing that you could certainly let go and not worry about. So that's something to think about.
That's a great suggestion. I'm a big fan, and one of the things I'm going to be talking about next week, I'm a big fan of services as gifts. And this is
too.
This is a big one.
Yes, I think it's a great thing. Lastly, when it comes to dinner and having your house ready, because I have done this before, not necessarily with holiday dinners, but just anytime I'm hosting people, you get your house all ready and they come over and then the house gets all messed up and it's like they're not even paying attention to how clean the floors are. So I think letting go of perfection, don't worry about everything being perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's going to be great just the way it is, and just let the details kind of fall into place. And again, like I was saying, one of my concerns is about just being present, and I really just want to be present with my family during these functions. And so letting go of that perfection is going to be huge, and just giving yourself permission to relax, and everything's going to be fine. And the good thing is too, is even if you burn the turkey, then it's a great story, right? You have a great story to talk about for years.
That's right. That's right. Live up your failings when it comes in the kitchen.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. So a couple tips for our listeners, just to kind of remember, if your anxiety is high, check in on your self-care. We've been focusing on this a lot. Just make sure you're getting your exercise in, you're eating right, you're doing what you need to do to take care of yourself, because that will definitely help with your anxiety. Breathing, remember to breathe. Let's see, meditation, prayer, whatever it is, taking a walk, anything that you need to do to kind of just settle down, I think makes a big difference. And, I didn't say this at the top of our conversation, but I think it's important to review, is just knowing and understanding where your anxiety is coming from, because sometimes just pinpointing it can make a big difference. And then being able to kind of tackle it. So if it is just the preparation of having people come over, okay, what do I need to do to help me so that's easier? Is it the money situation? Okay, what do I need to do to feel a little bit more in control of my budget? And just kind of analyzing it a little bit, and then really, attacking it that way. If that makes sense.
It makes sense to me.
Yeah. So there you go. That's what I've got.
I like it. These are some great suggestions. And again, they go back to this central idea. How do you reduce your stress so that you can be more present over the holidays when it matters more, even more? Just focus on that. I think these are great suggestions to keep moving us down that road. And I am also very excited about next week. Going to do some gift giving.
Yes.
Talking about tech.
Oh, and we have an update on group coaching.
Oh, we do. Yes. Why don't you share?
Yes, we have to talk about that. So registration is going to be open, or it is open, right?
This week, yes.
It is open this week for the next round of group coaching, which will start in January of 2016. So there are several different days and times to choose from, but it will start the week of January 4th. It's an 8-week program, so it will end basically the last week of February.
Excellent.
So that is something to look into if you're interested in doing some group coaching in the new year.
Absolutely. Jump over to takecontroladhd.com. You should see the link right there on the homepage where you can learn more and sign up. Get your name on the list. There are not very many spaces available. Nope. Jump in. I think that's it. I think that's all we have to cover today.
It is.
Excellent. Thank you so much, everybody, for downloading and listening to the show, for your kind comments. And we have received some marathon emails over the last several weeks of incredibly kind and generous words from people telling us their ADHD stories. We are working our way through them, and we will share some of those briefly either on the website or we'll talk about them more coming soon. So thank you so much for everybody who's written in and given us kind reviews. We deeply appreciate it. That's all we have. On behalf of Nikki Kinzer, I'm Pete Wright, and we'll catch you next week on Taking Control, the ADHD podcast.